familiar face in charge today. It's David Ellery, one of the two English referees operating at Euro 96. And his two English linesmen, Anthony Bates and Peter Walton. It looks then a grey and rather overcast afternoon in Manchester. A big crowd assembled in this magnificent stadium as the match gets underway, with the Germans defending the goal to our right. The favourites then to win the championship for the third time. So often in the past they've risen to the occasion, and their morale is high, perhaps unusually so for a German team going into a major tournament. They feel the mood is right, their preparations have been right, and there is a genuine belief running through the squad that they can deliver. But how hard, Ron Atkinson, do you think the Czech make it for them?
I think by the look of their lineup, 5 or 6 men in midfield, they're going to be very, very difficult to break through on. I think there's going to be a shortage of wing play from both sides. Neither side appears to have a natural winger, and I would expect to see full-backs from both sides pushing on an awful lot.
Thomas Hessler, a World Cup winner, of course, with the Germans back in 1990. The foul there on Niemiec. So here's Kadlec with a free kick for the Czech Republic, who came through, remember, as qualifiers, leading qualifiers from their group, ahead of Holland as well as Norway. This is Stefan Reiter. Poborski, who's been preferred in the starting lineup to Drulak, who we had expected to play up front as support for Kuka. But just the one outright striker then, a lot of support to come through from midfield. The Czech Republic will be hoping. Hessler then with the throw. Such an important man for the Germans, with his influence in midfield. He's done well here, Hessler. This is Niemiec. Now Poborski's worked it on well. Off goes Kuka. And Kropka had to come a long, long way out of his goal then to thwart the danger.
Excellent sweeping from the goalkeeper there. Very, very bad situation for the German side. Kuka's pace exploiting Kohler.
Thomas Heltner got his foot to that one. This is Horniak. The turn then by Latal. He almost wriggled his way through then. David Ellery, just a few yards away, saw nothing wrong there. Latal, who does give them good balance down the right side with his surging runs, plays for Schalke in Germany. So many of the opponents today will be familiar to him. Here's Jürgen Kohler, who's captaining the Germans today in the absence of Klinsmann. The ball hoisted forward then by Sammer. Played by Babel initially. Here's Kohler again, so strong at the back for the Germans. Plays, of course, now for Borussia Dortmund. Peter Kuba, who's being linked with a possible move to an English or indeed a Scottish club perhaps for the new season. Of Kuka. Determined defending then by Jürgen Kohler. I think the Germans are going to miss the width and the forceful play of Mario Basler. He's had to go back for an operation on his injured ankle. They hope he will return by the end of the tournament, but whether he'll play again, I don't know. Here's Catlett, so cool and composed at the back for the Czech Republic. That was Helmer. Nedvěd, not on the same wavelength there though as Kuka. Here's Sammer, so much more than just a sweeper. He'll take every opportunity to come forward for the Germans. This is Kohler. Cleared by Nedvěd. Jürgen Klinsmann then, not able to take part today, but he will be certainly back for the next match in this very, very tough group for the Germans. Italy and Russia will also provide formidable opposition. Group of death, they're calling it. Here's Bobic. Suku Panek was the defender then for the Czechs. And they had the goal kick to the delight of their fans, and many of them here today.
I think looking at Klinsmann there, I think the interesting thing would be how many of these players have played before him in major tournaments. Just going through them all, they all, 7 or 8 of the German players all look very, very familiar, don't they? Particularly with the main man back up front.
Away by Eilts, who operates just in front of the back line. And the anchor role, which Stefan Freud, I'm sure, would have had today had he been available. Reuter, who gives them width down the right side. Had a super season, back to something like his best, I think, really, Stefan Reuter, over the past few months. So Nedvěd with a throw then for the Czechs. Who certainly are the underdogs in this group, but may well spring a surprise. Friedek, busy and industrious. Now Kuka, who's drifted out to that left side. And he's the man who poses a main threat to the Germans this afternoon. Just the 1 goal from Kuka in the qualifying matches, but he's got 5 in the last 4 friendlies now. So he's been back on song again. Here's Matthias Sammer. Helmer. Bobic. Helmer with a through pass, just too long though for Andreas Möller.
I think that's one advantage that the Germans have over an awful lot of sides, that they've got players, with possibly the exception of Kohler, that can all come from the back. I think as the game progresses, we'll start to see Matthias Sammer start penetrating from a, if you like, a libero or a sweeper position.
Foul then by Poborski. Ziga to Kuntz. He's a very strong and belligerent front runner. Showing a bit too much strength then for David Ellery's liking. Kuntz, who's got the vote then ahead of Bierhoff today, along with Freddy Bobic. This is club football now for Besiktas in Turkey. Stefan Kuntz. Catlett with the free kick. One in the air by Kohler. As ever, they look very well organised, the Germans. But there's plenty of flair in their side as well. Off the head then of Christian Ziga, one of the Bayern Munich players. Here's Kuka. From Kaiserslautern, Poborski. Well-timed tackle though by Jürgen Kohler. Now off goes Möller, who's got back to pace, but Poborski did well there. And they certainly don't appear to be so far on Atkinson, overawed by the occasion, the Czechs.
I would actually say they've started better than the Germans. They've been bright. Poborski's making movement all over the field, and they've looked very, very solid and well organised, and very, very confident.
Here's Hessler. Now Eilts from Werder Bremen. Reuter, 2 in the middle. Kuntz at Bobic. Didn't really get hold of that then, Coburn, but he's got away with it. Here's Laptow. by Babel, but Sammer to tidy up for the Germans. Reads the game so well, Matthias Sammer. That's a problem there for one of the German players down. I think that's Kohler. Attacking there with Kuka.
Looks very much as if Kuka's fallen, got the whole weight across Kohler's ankle there.
Jürgen Kohler, who scored his first goal for the Germans last week in their 9-1 thrashing of Liechtenstein. Bertie Vogtso will be concerned here about a possible injury to his main defender. So Jürgen Kohler having to receive some attention before he can continue. 30 now, Kohler. Maybe not as quick as he used to be, but still an outstanding defender. And they can ill afford to lose him. Here's Kuka. Sammer nicked him quickly. Now Latal, who started well down the right flank. Helmer, though, getting the better of Poborski, who certainly has been very lively in the early exchanges. So Ziege taking the throw. Warniak's header. Jürgen Kohler, at the moment, not able to return. Sukuparek. The pressure then from Bobic. Some brilliant defending by Sukuparek. He's a very highly rated defender, and he showed us why then. Warniak. Kuka was the target, but easily policed by Thomas Helmer. Kohler, I think, is about to come back on now.
Well, the medical man's just called Bertie Vogtso over, and there's a great deal of concern there. I thought he was a question of him coming back on.
Meantime, here's Kuka with a shot! Well, it's the closest we've come to a goal so far. And maybe German attention was wandering then. All eyes on the touchline to see if Kohler was going to return.
Well, there's that, of course, and he rolls the defender very, very well there, and he's not that far wide with his shot. But he'd have been against Kohler there, Pavel Kuka. He'd have been playing against Kohler. Of course, he's off the pitch having attention at the moment.
Yes, he was saying beforehand he was expecting a tough afternoon against him. Here's Hessler now. Pass, though, just over hits for the ever-eager Thomas Hessler. And I think Babel is going to come on now, and Kohler will not resume. Marcus Babel. And indeed, that is the switch that's been made by Bertie Vogts. As Jürgen Kohler somewhat ruefully makes his way to the dressing room. Babel is on. Bayern Munich defender with 14 caps to 4 today. Poborski. Again, aggressive defending by Sammer. Jürgen Kohler taking no further part in the match. Babel. Nemetz. Here's Netviet. Now Reuter looking to launch the counter-attack for the Germans. Kuntz making the run for him. It was Warniak who had come across. So far, they've kept the Germans fairly subdued as an attacking force. And will certainly show promise of their own at the other end of the Czech Republic. Reuter's throw. Reuter again. Now Helmer. Just a straight adjustment to the back with Babel coming on for Kola. One defender replacing another. But Matthias Sammer getting his angles wrong there for once. He's normally so accurate with his distribution. The reigning German footballer of the year. Babel with Kuka. He has been a regular in the side. Babel certainly featured in many of the qualifiers. Here's Eilts. Now Hessler. Hoping to get something started for the Germans, but his pass was wayward. Kadlitz. No real chance of the tiny figure of Poborski getting to that one. Now Sammer. This is Möller, a player who's had his problems with injuries lately, but when he's in full stride, he's some performer. Super panic, keeping a tiny watch on Stefan Kuntz. Looks a useful defender, this fellow.
Yeah, strong, good marker. What has surprised me from the Germans' point of view is the fact that they've only looked at this stage to have come up on the right-hand side through Reuter. Now here's the sweeper stepping in, here's Samoset stepping in.
And Sammer still going forward. He might fall for Bobic! Great save by Kober. In goes Sammer. Some disarray there among the Czech defenders, but they've got away with it. Bobic with the shot, the leading goal scorer in the German league last season, and he really let fly then.
Yeah, that was an excellent save, by the way, but this is as a result of Sammer stepping into play, helps the ball on. Bobic, a fine volley over his shoulder, and a good save by Kuba.
Well, Jürgen Klinsmann, the man he's replacing today, would have been proud of that one. An excellent strike by Bobic. Here's Hessler then with the corner. And the header only just wide of goal too, as Möller went in. So it's a good spell this for the Germans.
Well, it certainly seems as if it's given them a lift, and I actually thought that was on target, but the defender had it well cleared, but that'll give them a little bit of a lift. Big, fast, curling ball, bigger than the back stick, and a fine header.
A free header then for Eilts.
I'm surprised at the moment, though, we haven't seen more attacking play or more offensive play from Ziege on the left-hand side. Any sort of penetration at the moment or any sort of fire has come from the German right.
Kadlitz with the free kick. Goes Nedved. Reuter strong and determined at the back. Sukuparek. He's heading off to France, Sukuparek, with Strasbourg for the new season. Plays at the moment for Slavia Prague, who won the Czech title. The throw given to the Germans. To the dismay there of Nebietz. Dusan Lukrin, the coach of the Czech Republic. He's done a fine job too since taking over after their failure as the old RCS to reach the last World Cup finals. Here's Ziege, making one of his first sorties down this left flank. Möller taking over from Helmer, but without reward. Andy Möller, who's come the closest then so far, or one of their best chances anyway, that header that went just wide. This is Thomas Hessler now with another good strike. And the Germans, you begin to feel now, are taking the initiative.
Yes, from a position where they've made little or nothing happen in the last few minutes, they've had 3 very good attempts or near misses. This one stands up. Hessler, good right-footed shot just wide of the post. Keeper, once again, I think, had it covered. But they're beginning to make their influence tell now.
Off the head of Babel, I think, there. Helmer to Ziege. As the sunshine comes out at Old Trafford. Certainly isn't full today. Quite a few empty seats looking round. But tremendous support, certainly for both teams. Möller trying to turn then, and he was clattered by Babel, which will be a caution for him. No hesitation there from David Ellery.
He's flown in there. Summer, I think he was half expecting Summer to knock that one back, but he's turned excellently on him, and Babel's been sucked into that one.
Radek Babel from Slavia Prague. Here's Kuntz. Swapping passes there with Möller. Kuntz again. But Hessler hadn't really read his intentions, and the pass was overhit anyway from Stefan Kuntz. So approaching the halfway stage in the first half. No breakthrough yet for the Germans, and certainly one or two scares early on at the other end for them. Huber, who so far has been in excellent form for the Czech Republic. Helmer for Bobic. And David Ellery says play on. I think that was handled there. It was given the advantage to the Czechs. Poborski with the cross, and it was very disappointing too. But appreciating himself the service he'd received.
I think part of the reason why Germany are establishing themselves at the moment is I think that Thomas Hessler is giving them an awful lot of problems. He's neither playing as a wide on the right or any fixed position, and they're having a problem picking him up. He's appearing all over the show now and making things happen.
Good run here by Möller, two in the sector. Möller's chip, and Möller again. And they couldn't quite force their way through. Some incisive attacking play then from Germany. Here's Latal. And Ziege with the covering tackle.
Yeah, you mentioned that Ails is doing the holding role. That's enabling Hessler, and as we saw then, Möller to make these runs, these sort of loose runs, if you like, with just making attacking runs all the while.
Nemetz with Latal in support, as he's often been in this first half. But here's that chance again that fell to Andy Möller.
Yeah, I think he just couldn't get, he fancied he could have opened it up for himself a little bit, but Babel's got in there and just cleaned it out.
Certainly a match winner though in his day, Andy Möller. 24 international goals. Puka working hard up front again. No real support in the middle.
Yeah, that's the problem, isn't it? That was quite a good ball worked in, but there's only himself. Looks if it's still, oh, it's clean out now. But he crossed the ball in. There's the sort of ball he would thrive on, having himself in there.
On by Bobic. Nedved for the Czech Republic, caught in by Stefan Kuntz. Puka then carrying this lone thread up front. They do need to get players forward in support of him. They've swamped the midfield, the Czech Republic, hoping to deny the Germans some space.
But at the moment, the midfield is having to sit back and contain the Germans, because the Germans have started to influence the game.
Here's Babel. Now Sammer. Stefan Reuter. Sammer breaking into another gear now. Here's Kuntz and Sammer again. So often he links up with the forward players. Poborski at full stretch.
Yeah, that's when they look to give them the most of the problems, when Sammer breaks out from the last position, or when Möller makes a run from the centre of midfield.
Now Möller. This is Babel.
See, at this moment in time, Sammer is virtually up as a second striker. He's almost in a second striking position at the moment.
Poborski slipping it through. Off goes Babel now. Didn't really have the idea, though, to break the Germans down. Sammer had certainly broken forward.
And I think the very fact that Czechoslovakia are only playing with one up front is enabling him to do that. The Germans have looked at it, and I think they've almost pushed Sammer into a midfield position now. Said, all right, we don't have to bother too much at the back. They've only one striker up the field. We can deal with those, and we'll push somebody else into an attacking position.
Bobic on for Ziege. This could be promising. Ziege shot! Terrific goal! Christian Ziege. Well, Bertie Voets knows only too well how dangerous he is on his left foot. He's not too bad with his right either.
But the key to that was the link-up there with Fredi Bobic. Watch how he's laid a ball into him, he's made a run off the ball, and like you say, on what is considered his wrong foot, but it's right in the corner, leaves Kuba no chance. But the link-up play here between Bobic and Ziege was brilliant. He's played it in, played it in and followed his pass in there.
Ziege in full flow here, away from Kadlitz. And although Kuba might just have got his fingertips to it, no more than that. And Germany have the lead on 25 minutes.
Yeah, you sensed it coming as well, didn't you? They've stepped up the game in the last quarter now. They've powered it more. They're winning a lot more challenges, and they're looking very, very strong.
Kukar. By Babel. And Nemitz. Babel again. Three in the centre here, if he can supply the service. Nedved. Still Nedved going right through here. Kortler had to come out. And David Ellery has blown for the foul anyway.
I think that last incident, by the way, is the first time Czechoslovakia have had more than 2 players in the German penalty box. He's intercepted it, he's gone on, he's had a bit of luck there. And full credit to the German goalkeeper, Korke. He's come out there and made a very brave interception.
Well, he has been quite a regular goal scorer, Nedved, the man who made that break into German territory. Indeed, he was Sparta Prague's leading scorer last season. Saba showing more and more adventure in this first half. Matthias Saba. Now Möller. They do vary the play so well, swap positions around with so much confidence, the Germans. It's a fine pass then by Ziege. Here's Helmer. Nominally a defender, now playing almost as an outside left here. Taking on Latau. Still Helmer. And play on, says David Ellery. Good work then by Babel. Ziege. Away from Babel. Friedrich biting into the tackle then. That was a late one on Poborski, which certainly will warrant a yellow card for Christian Ziege. So he turns from hero to villain. Bit late that one, Ron.
Yes, the boots were flying a little bit there. There'd been a few little incidents there. The ball had been popped off and laid off, and 3 or 4 challenges had flown in. And I think that was the culmination of them all, that one from Christian Ziege at the end.
Only his second goal for the German, Ziege.
But he's shown good strength there as well, the way he's just brushed the defenders aside. He lost Lattal on the first run, and then right at the end of it, he took Kadlitz inside. Good strength. He's also shown his strength there.
Yes, Poborski clearly in distress. The dismay of Hukrin, who may have some readjusting to do. Nedved, who won the header there. Here's Saba for Germany. A goal up and looking very strong now. Thomas Helmer. Here's Hessler. And offside, I think, against Bobic there. And Poborski is going to come back on. Well, his industry has been crucial so far for the Czechs, but they find themselves behind. And it'll be a test of their character now against this resolute and very determined German team, the favourites for Euro 96. Back forward by Helmer. The Germans, of course, came through the same group as Wales. They lost only once in that qualifying section.
And not traditionally strong starters in tournaments, are they?
That's Kuka on for Latal. Well, they've begun confidently enough so far this afternoon. Hessler was taken by Babel. Did well to win it back too. Here's Friedeck now. Turns straight into Sammer, who rather clattered him. No foul. And away goes Kuntz now. Sukuparek had too much strength for him. Latal. Now Kuka. David Emery allowed the game to flow. Iltz with the cross, dealt with by Kadlec. Now Nemeth. Kadlec. I wonder will the Czechs show a bit more ambition now that they've got a goal down. Here's Babel.
I think it's fair to say they'll try and push a little bit, but they won't overstretch. I think they'll wait a little bit, and if the situation's still like this late in the game, then they'll pop. They've got Patrick Berger, of course, who can come on.
Good reading there of the game by Sammer, but he's down injured now. But away goes Müller. Bobic to his right. Still Andy Müller. May not need him. Good effort. A very good effort from Andreas Müller. Oh, it was a fabulous run. And an exquisite finish too.
Yeah, great strength. At first you thought he was just going to shape and lay a little ball out to the side there to Bobic, but no, he's taking it on. He takes Kadlec inside. That's the second time Kadlec has been done, the sweeper for both goals, and that's once again tucked in virtually the same spot as Ziegler's goal.
Well, you feel they're lacking a bit of pace at the back, and that was certainly exposed then.
Yeah, but that's a strong positive run, isn't it? He sensed he's got the beating of Kadlec there.
25 goals now for Germany from Andreas Müller. Such a dangerous player. 3 in the qualifying group. And he's off the mark at this tournament with an absolute stunner. 31 minutes gone. The time for the second goal. Kadlec was always struggling here against the pace of Andy Müller.
You know, that's almost a carbon copy, isn't it, of Ziegler's goal?
Sammer. Well, we were wondering, Ron, just how strong the Germans were going to be. I think we've had a fairly emphatic answer so far. Let's see what Poborski can do here, though. Kuka free in the middle if he can find him. Too long for Kuka, but hit over the top by Nedved. As good a chance as they've had so far.
Yeah, but I think Poborski's taken the wrong option here. I think he should have played Kuka in. It's a simple ball, really, to Kuka.
Nobody's
picked him up. He delayed it a little bit. And OK, at the end of it, it wasn't the easiest chance in the world for Nedved. He's had to make up the ground, he's stretching. But I honestly think Poborski could have really played Kuka in for a sitter.
Well, he certainly arrived at the right time then, Nedved. He's made 1 or 2 runs like that in this first period. But Kuka surely was better placed.
Yeah, he was the option, definitely. And he was the option earlier.
Now then by Bobic, who was holding off Sukuparek.
Yeah, but you saw Sukuparek in trouble there for the pace over the top. The Germans haven't been afraid to use that ball in behind the defence. They've stuck it in early quite a few times. Normally for either a run across from Kuhns or from Moller coming from midfield.
Babel. He showed too much of that then to Babel. Babel and Babel. We're going to have some fun with the names of these tournament, aren't we, Ron? Again, we saw the determination there of Matthias Sammer.
Yeah, they've got the bit between the teeth, Germany. First goal came at a very good time, just as they were getting up ahead of steam, and since then you could see the confidence growing out of them.
And Sammer is the key man for them. So much stems from him. Of course, it's his emergence that has meant they can afford to do without Lothar Matthäus, who doesn't feature anymore. So much publicised rows behind the scenes involving Matthäus and Klinsmann and Sammer. But the early signs are very encouraging here for the Germans, who seem to have got their act right. And Jürgen Klinsmann, I know, has been at great pains to cut out some of the bickering that has been so much a feature in the past for German sides. Here's Ziege. Elba. But the German team have now established command. Babel, don't think Poborski is going to be too much of a threat in the air. But they're trying to get him further forward now, Poborski. And Nedved attempting to get more support up there for Kuka. Here's Möller. Now Sammer. Just nicked away from him though by Babel. It's Reuter, whose initial tackle set the Germans on their way. Möller with a cross. Bobic. Too long for Kuntz. And a rather hasty clearance. Bobic. Now Kadlec. Certainly wrong when you feel when they're going to be exposed for pace, they're going to be in trouble at the back.
Yeah, there's an aggression and a determination about the Germans. Right, we know all about their technique, we know all about their know-how, their movement. That's, you know, those are German characteristics. But there's certainly there is a determination about them that, you know, when they're challenging for balls, they're very, very strong. When they're competing for tackles, and when they make runs forward, they're extremely positive.
Yes, Bernie Votes has released some of the adventure early, I think, at the expense of caution. And it's good to see. The Germans clearly are going to be a major threat in Euro 96. Horniak given away though to Ziege. Now options to his right and to his left. Broken up though by Kadlec.
It's a great picture there from Ziege, because Möller was once again, that's the sort of determination. That Hessler flying in there. But in the earlier incident, Möller was absolutely screaming down the right-hand side.
The throw taken by Latal to Kuka. Helmer was in very close attendance. Off goes Hessler. Latal. Nimitz. On to Latal again. But they're so eager in the tackle, the Germans. Ziege and Helmer between them. Cutting out the menace there. But there is an injury to Latal. I think he's okay. Babel, who's slotted in very comfortably in the German rear guard since the early loss of Jürgen Kohler through injury. Reuter. Here's Kuntz. In goes Reuter. Cleared by Kadlec initially. Then Sukopanek in trouble. They don't look comfortable at the back.
Now, I think what the Germans are doing as well from deep positions, they're hitting this ball in behind the Czechoslovakian flank defenders, because they know they've got willing runners up front, and they've got willing runners supported by Sommer, and that's by Möller, and that really gives them a decided advantage, because as we've seen, they're not the quickest in the world at the back three or the back four of Czechoslovakia.
Hessler with Germany's latest corner. Babel among those up from the back, and some pushing there, some nudging. Spotted by David Hillary.
I also feel that there's a possibility, you know, I mean, the goals have gone very much. Here's one now. It's Möller's in the inch perfect It's gone right along the ground on a good flat surface. I just wonder whether the keeper will come in for some criticism on both goals.
I thought he maybe just got his fingertips to the first one, but well beaten there by Muller. Tremendous acceleration.
Yeah, I think there will be a suggestion on both goals that the keeper may have, if you like, covered more ground with his dive.
Just couldn't get down quick enough, you mean?
No.
Minor aberration then from Cook at the other end, which hasn't proved too costly. And he's made a couple of important saves in this first half. Hasn't had too much to do. Still very much the #1 Cook for the Germans, having taken over from Boda Illner after the last World Cup. And of course the Germans were so disappointing going out to Bulgaria, but they got their revenge in the qualifiers. And they've come to this tournament in very good heart indeed. Bobic a bit careless then, though. And they've had a good run of success up until their recent defeat by France, which was their first loss in some 13 matches. Reuter. Now Muller. It's been a constant menace for the Germans in this first half. Now Bobic. The cross is a dangerous one, just too long for Kunz. But here's Hessler. Excellent play then by Thomas Hessler. Even Sammer was in the middle there. Miles. Certainly the way they're dictating the game, they can afford for Sammer to get forward whenever the opportunity arises.
Sammer, Hessler. Moller, they for me have been the key players. Ziege, once he decided to step into play a little bit, you know, they've caused them all sorts of problems with their pace and movement from the sort of deep areas.
They're not confined to any particular position, are they? Hessler is all over the field.
Well, that's it. They're so highly mobile, and the interchanging of positions have been excellent. But I think the thing that's got them into that position has been the very fact that they stepped up a gear after 10 minutes. The first 10 minutes, I thought they were a bit easy-ozy. Then they started winning 1 or 2 tackles, started driving in at the game. Moller started to make these forward runs, and it's all come from that. And it has to be said, a little bit of not over-strong defending has conceded goals, I feel sure. The Czechs won't be very happy with the way they defended for the goals.
Right there. Kunz in pursuit. Certainly Sukoparek has his hands full with Stefan Kunz and also Bobic. And Horniak is keeping an eye on. Hessler. So effervescent in this first 45 minutes. To fight past 2 now, to fight Reuter. Kunz at the far post. This is Latau. Sukoparek. Ielts in with the tackle. It was a clean one too. In the eyes of the referee, here's Ziege. Again on that right foot, looking to bend it into the corner. The Czechs were unhappy there about the challenge.
Yes, I think they were automatically looking for a free kick. It's
Ielts, wasn't it, here?
Yes, it's a very, very strong challenge. But I think the advantage is, I mean, there have been a lot of free kicks given for that sort of thing, I have to say. But you just wonder with it being David Ellery. Here's the goal again, by the way. Sorry, it's in, so I thought that was the goal.
Shot wide, yeah.
That's the shot wide. You just wonder with it being an English-type referee whether maybe he's let a little bit more physical contact go than perhaps referees on the continent alone.
Well, the Czechs certainly felt the tackle from Ielts was a little late.
I thought it was.
It's left.
Yeah, I thought it was.
Nemetz in some discomfort. As if they didn't have enough problems against this pacey and very inventive German team. Well, David Ellery didn't give the foul. Babel with the header. And Ielts. Little 1-2 there with David Ellery. Kuka. I think they've really got to find more support for Kuka in the second half if they are to stand any chance of turning this round. They have Drulak among the substitutes, of course, who normally plays up front. And also Patrick Berger among those in reserve. Their best player in the qualifiers. Here's Sukuparek. Oh, it was very, very careless. Hessler could punish them now. Worked on to Kutz. But that was all of the Czechs' own making then. Some dreadful defending. Sukuparek who gave it away. And they were lucky to get away with that. But they have a good, solid look to them, don't they, the Germans, Ron?
Yes, I think the goals have certainly helped. Goals help any team, and the first goal's given them that lift. There's a belief about them that all of a sudden's gone out of the Czech team. I mean, I shudder to think what would happen if Germany got another goal. Like, you could almost see the floodgates opening.
Helba. Now Saba. This is Ziege. Everybody seems comfortable in their role in the German side. And they've played with a lot of confidence in the first half. Kuntz. Turning away from his man. This is Babel. Reiter, the last defender for Germany. Kupke found him somewhat fortuitously. Andreas Möller. Again, that change of pace. But this time, they might stay with him. And then the foul by Nedved. And the disconsolate Andy Möller. I think that's going to be another yellow card. Bit of frustration creeping here for the Czechs. And it was, well, to put it mildly, an ill-timed challenge from Pavel Nedved. And containing Möller at his exceptional pace has been a constant worry for the Czech team. So an excellent first half for the Euro 96 favourites. They played really well once they had established control of the Germans. Goals from Ziege and then from Möller. Both of them brilliant strikes too. Have given them the reward their football has certainly deserved. Half-time at Old Trafford. It's Germany 2, the Czech Republic 0. Welcome back to Old Trafford then, as the Germans start the second half. Now attacking from left to right, very impressive in the first 45 minutes. And not surprisingly, the Czech Republic have made a couple of changes for this second period, bringing on Berger and Drulak, hoping to step up their firepower. Friedeck and Poborski are the two who've got off. Here's Ziege. Now Helba. And a foul by him on Kadlitz. There was certainly some surprise that Berger and Drulak here weren't in the starting lineup. Drulak, who had such a tremendous season in the Czech League, and Berger, who was their main goal scorer then from the qualifying games. And a very highly rated young man from Borussia Dortmund, Patrick Berger. Well, they have their opportunity now in the second half. Header away then by Eilts, who's had a good steady first half in a rather unglamorous role. Nedved alongside him. Latal, now Babel. They've certainly got to show far more adventure and enterprise in the second half if they're to threaten the Germans. But I think, Ron, it's going to be very hard work for them.
Yes, but at least it's a positive step in theory anyway, because all they were doing was waiting for a hammering, the way they were playing before. They set out with a policy of containment, which hasn't worked.
Here's Berger. Well, that would have been quite an entrance for him. He's got a terrific left foot, this fellow. And straight away, he'd made his presence felt.
I mean, that was an excellent run from midfield. He's made an excellent run. The ball's linked him up well. And he's very unlucky. I mean, that's an instinctive shot and a good shot, and well aware of where the target was. And that would be encouraging, because that's the sort of thing they haven't shown, or they showed on very few occasions in the first half, that sort of positive play.
It's only his 16th appearance for his country, and he's got 8 goals.
Yeah, I happen to think if they hadn't been playing Germany in the opening game, I think both of those would have been in the lineup from the word go. I think it was a side pick for containment to try and hold the Germans. Hasn't worked. Now they've got to try and salvage something.
Obviously a difficult task for the coach. There's no easy game with this group. But maybe he looked at the fixtures and said, well, if we can survive this one, we'll have a chance to get something from the other two. Italy and Russia.
The other thing, of course, we haven't seen yet, we haven't seen just how good the German defence is under pressure. We've seen all the good aspects of going forward. It'll be interesting to see how they're tested defensively.
And they are now, remember, without their most obdurate defender in Jürgen Kohler, who had to go off injured in the first half. Catlets with a free kick. It was Ziege who got it away. Reuter, has he got the pace here? No, and Nedved had come smartly across. Well, they've certainly come out in determined fashion, the Czechs. Nothing to lose now against this powerful German team, who underlined their quality with those 2 superb first-half goals, and they could have had more too, but for the goalkeeping expertise of Peter Kober. Well, I gather has caught the eye of certainly Glasgow Rangers and Wolves. Well, this fellow Berger here has caught the eye since coming on in the second half.
I think we were all staggered when he wasn't in the starting lineup anyway, weren't we? I think he's had an excellent season. He's been a key man in their progress to the championships.
Well, he certainly kept the other foreigners on their toes at Borussia Dortmund, the likes of Sosa and Chapuisat. Dortmund, of course, who retained the German title. Here's Stefan Reuter, who plays indeed for Borussia Dortmund. Babel with Drulak. It's quite a character as Drulak, the man Babel was policing there. His international recognition has come very late in his career. He's 34 now. Now here's Kuka. It opened the second half very positively at the Czech Republic. That was Drulak. Actually won his first cap way back in '83, but only in the past couple of years that he returned to prominence. Bobic sending Müller on his way now. Cuts through the centre. Müller. Almost wriggled through after the slip net by Suku Parek. And you feel maybe in the second half, Ron, they're going to leave 1 or 2 gaps at the back now, the Czechs.
Yes, but I mean, they might just as well come and try and salvage something out of the game. They've got somehow or other to get the score to 2-1. They've got to try and see if they can get the Germans wobbling a little bit. And all right, if they have to do what they've just done and leave the door open a little bit at the back, then they've got to ask defenders who are left there to defend.
Germany's throw. They feel themselves, they perform better, the Germans, under tournament pressure. And the evidence has been overwhelming so far.
Yeah, well, they're great tournament players, aren't they? Certainly, looking at it on the evidence of what we've seen in this opening spell, this opening game, I think that Moller's going to be paid some particular attention when they play 1 or 2 of the favourite sides.
Horniak was the man upended then. Well, they've been trying to play it down, the Germans, saying maybe the Italians are the favourites for this group, but
they know they're the favourites. They're the favourites in every tournament.
It's a yellow card for Stefan Kutz, who didn't have the best of seasons with Besiktas in Turkey, and there is speculation he might be coming back to Germany. Of course, like Bobic, he'll be wondering who will make way for Jürgen Klinsmann's return in the next game. Meantime, there is clearly a problem here for Horniak, the man who was sent crashing to the ground by Kutz. Kadlec got caught for pace on both the goals, really. And he looked to be struggling there against Kutz, although the linesman has ruled the other way. He's been a good, honest performer down the years in the Bundesliga, Stefan Kutz. Hoping to make his mark now at international level. So Horniak unable to reappear just at the moment. Reuter's okay though. Babel with the free kick to Thomas Helmer. Bobic. Plenty of movement up front from the Germans, but it comes to nothing, and away goes Latal. Certainly they're showing more urgency now, the Czech Republic, and they've got to, really, if they're to stretch the German side in any way. Latal, not for Drulak, didn't get the back of the bounce then. Buller, who has continually unsettled the Czech team. An unpredictable player, Andreas Möller. But a very, very good one. Here's Bobic. Berger, the offender. Bobic, who's been attracting interest from these shores. Manchester United, indeed, we gather among those keeping a very watchful eye on him. Möller's free kick. It goes Helmer. He'd escaped the marking then, and it would have been a spectacular finish from Thomas Helmer. As it is, he's in some distress. Well, now he can receive attention. David Ellery is fully aware of what's going on, and Helmer is still on the field. A very, very brave header.
It would have been a fabulous goal, this, because this ball is really whipped in, and he's making on the ground. He couldn't have seen it till late. He must have thought that Babel was going to maybe get the header, and look at it. It's a fast bender. It's travelling, going away from him, and he's flung himself in. That would have been a spectacular goal. Brave as well, because he's confronted by the goalkeeper.
So for the moment, the Germans are reduced to 10 men, while Helmer receives attention. It was Kutz going in. He's very sharp around the 18-yard box, Stefan Kutz. And he and Bobic will be so well aware that one of them will have to stand down when Klinsmann comes back. It's been a bit of a problem for the Germans, finding the right partner for Klinsmann. Bertie Vogts has constantly shuffled things around. It was Bierhoff, the man left out today. Hessler with a corner kick. It was a free header cleared off the line. Ziege. Again, the marking was very sloppy from the Czech Republic, and they were so lucky to escape there.
Yeah, they've threatened to do that on virtually every corner that Hessler's taken on this right side. It hits this big, fast, high, out-swinging corner, and there's a group of 3 or 4 of the German players all ready to attack it. On that particular occasion, Ziege came in, a big, strong header. Defender doing his job on the line.
Bobic offside. Marginal. He's made some good foraging runs up front, but here's that corner kick again.
Because look, he gets the loop on it, he gets the height, he gets the pace.
And it was Nedved, the man on the goal line, the soldier on duty. Nebets looking to release Strulak. Babel in the way. They look good really in every department, the Germans. Maybe, as Ron was suggesting earlier, we'll see what they're like under pressure at the back. And they're more likely to be under pressure in this second half, with the Czechs trying to take the game to them. No foul. Here's Müller. Again, that acceleration, that change of pace. He's got Sammer up alongside him. This is Sammer now. Can he finish here? Well, they will pour it forward in droves, don't the Germans? Now defenders are having to scurry back, and that surely will be a caution for Müller.
And we saw a great piece of interplay there, didn't we? The powerhouse, strong ring, attacking midfield Müller, playing the sweeper into a forward position. And Müller it is who's recovering. I don't think that's quite in the textbook. Strangling's never been illegal, has it?
Quite cynical, that one, from Andreas Müller, showing the darker side of his game. We've seen his brilliance earlier in this match. Here's Berger, the man you feel might just illuminate things for the Czech Republic. Nebets now. Well, that was late, surely, from Babel. Another yellow card. You can't really see what they're protesting about.
I think he's got booked for protesting there. I didn't get the impression David Ellery was going to book him for the challenge.
Well, he seemed to go through the back of him.
No, it's a foul. Yes, no danger.
And referees are under strict instructions in Euro 96 to clamp down on that kind of tackle. What a waste then from Nedved. Well, that was the earlier one, the booking for Müller. Germany, of course, who have such an outstanding pedigree at this level. And they believe that their destiny may well be to clinch yet another major championship. So far, so good. Here's Helmer. 6 World Cup finals they played in, 4 European Championship finals. Of course, they've won the European Championship twice on the losing side. They've got the best record of any nation in this competition. Müller endeavouring to switch the play to Stefan Reuter, but it was an ambitious pass, to say the least, from Müller. Reuter with the throw. Bobic. 17 goals from him in the Bundesliga last season. Even Klinsmann couldn't manage that many. Here's Ajax. Caught then by Berger. Come on, up he gets. It's David Ellery, but certainly tripped him. It's a strong character, Dieter Alts. But Bertie Votes won't have been happy about that challenge on him. Amanda under real pressure to succeed, Bertie Votes. Hessler. Bobic was in the centre. Babel, who cut out the cross then. Well, plenty of time for the Germans to further stamp their authority on this match. Hessler's throw. Down off Kadlets. It was Helmer. And the Germans have a free kick. And potentially a very dangerous situation here. Defence by Horniak to keep the pressure on the Czech Republic. Wasn't
it in the last European Nations Championships that The man on the ball now, Thomas Hessler, produced quite a few.
I think in the opening match he got the equaliser, didn't he? A free kick against...
was it Sweden?
I think it was the Russians, wasn't it?
I remember him sending one in
they were there.
From about this.
Möller is there too, and Saber wanting to get involved. But our money will be on Thomas Hessler. It's taken a ricochet and comfortably into the arms of Kober. He's always very, very dangerous on the set pieces, Thomas Hessler. On by Baber. Natal. Caught by Alts. As if he'd been hit by a sniper from the stands. Ron Atkinson alongside, he's confident his name is going in the book. I don't think you're going to be wrong there, Ron.
I'm a little bit surprised why David went over and had a word with the linesman.
Well, I did feel that Latal overreacted. I don't think there was any question about that, but nor did there seem to be, in my mind anyway, any doubt that it was a foul. But maybe David didn't get too good a view of it. And he hasn't been cautioned. So I'll scrub that one out. Struntz about to come on, it would seem, for Germany. Another hard-running and very effective player. Kadlet's taking the free kick, which the Germans haven't really dealt with yet. And before the Czechs can take the throw, I think Germany are going to make the substitution. No, in fact, they've taken it too quickly. In goes Helmer, another throw to the Czechs, and still Germany can't get Struntz on. Thomas Struntz from Bayern Munich. Nottingham Forest will remember him from the UEFA Cup, which of course Bayern went on to win. Good fall here for Berger. Could be in. It was very quickly closed down. Didn't really have time to dwell on the ball. And it was in the end a tame finish. Now Bobic is going to go off to make way for Thomas Struntz. He doesn't know it yet, but he does now, as his expression shows. What did you make of his display, Ron?
I thought he linked the line-up quite well. He had good movement. He was denied a goal with a fine save early on, and had a big part in the first goal. I mean, I'm looking at the two strikers there and thinking who would be the most suitable to pair up with Klinsmann, and of the two, Bobic looks a better pair with Klinsmann to me.
I was just going to say he'll be wondering if he's done enough. There's also Oliver Bierhoff who comes into the equation. But what is without doubt is that Klinsmann will be in the starting lineup. He's been such an admirable leader, Jürgen Klinsmann. I think he's helped to rebuild the spirit among the German players after all the rows they've had in the past. Certainly a talismanic figure for them. Here's Kuntz. We'll be hoping he'll last a little longer than Bobic has. Just wonder what they'll do here. Maybe push Andy Möller further forward, Ron. Here's Hessler. Certainly Struntz will slot into midfield.
Yeah, I think they'll just play with they'll just leave one upfield, which will be Kuntz, and then they'll just Möller and Hessler will have license to just go forward when they like.
Babel. Möller has certainly gone forward at the moment. Here's Kuntz. Now Hessler, who always seems to be available. Well, the Czechs are working hard now, trying to revive their hopes.
There's certainly more of a purpose about the Czech play. They look as if they've gone up a gear, if you like, but they desperately need another goal now to bring the game back to them.
Well, they have in Drulak and Berger, two more positive players on the field now. Whether that might still affect them even more defensively, we'll wait to see as the game wears on. But It might give them more options up front. No good sitting back now. With a 2-goal deficit still to make up. Sukuparek. Now the break could be on. Away goes Böhler. He's got Hessler away to his right. Puts further forward. And the Germans do have a free kick, and it will be a caution too for Catlets.
Attention please, with the owner of vehicle registration number N.
So the captain is the latest name to go into David Ellery's notebook.
Parked in the South Stand Tunnel. Please remove their vehicle immediately. N426.
He hasn't got to spell all these names, does he? He writes them down. You can have a problem with that.
Immediately, thank you.
I'm struggling to pronounce them, let alone spell them. Babel. No, another yellow card. I think Drulak has been over protesting, and his exuberance, his eagerness to put his point of view across has meant a yellow card for him as well.
You really do think players would be on their toes when particularly in the opening games, when there's always a tendency, if you like, for referees to sort of pull cards out at random.
Sammer, who just drifted into space then. Down goes Böhler. Sukuparek and Berger between them, applying the sandwich. Böhler was the meat in between. So here, maybe another shooting chance for Thomas Hessler. Certainly plenty to concern Peter Kober. This very agile and athletic goalkeeper that the Czech Republic have. Looks like Böhler fancies this one. Ziege and Sammer are there with him. It's to Reuter. It's back to the drawing board with that one. Oh, that Reuter in very, very late. That was a foolish tackle then. Totally unnecessary on Nemetz.
I mean, the repercussions of all these bookings could be, particularly for somebody like Germany who would expect to make progress right to the last later stages, the fact that key players will be missing for games like that if they continue to pick up bookings like this.
Well, that's 5, I think, now for the Germans. And I make it 4 for the Czechs. You keeping count there? There's certainly been plenty of them. But I couldn't really see the point in Reuter sliding in there in such reckless fashion. Kuka. They've kept a pretty tight rein on Kuka, now the German defenders. Nemetz. Now Drulak. On by Hessler. Clumsy clearance by Catlets. The Germans will be thinking maybe they've just taken the sting out of that mini revival by the Czechs. When they did offer a suggestion that they might just get back into things. Flicked in by Kuntz. Here's Stefan Reuter. Bertie Vogts down below me, getting a little animated now. I think maybe wanting a little more urgency from his team. Iltz. Just take the foot off the pedal at the moment, Rob.
Yeah, and I think they'd look at the game and think, well, we're such a much better side in Czechoslovakia. All right, they've had a little flurry this half, the Czechs, but we really ought to be cashing in a little bit and building up our goals tally. I mean, if they come out of it with 2-0, yeah, fine. But I mean, I think the opportunity is there to come out with a 3 or a 4-0, which would be a great sort of morale booster in the first game. It sends sort of shivers through the rest of the teams in the competition.
Iltz in ahead of Kuka. It's been an afternoon of hard labour really up front for Kuka. At least he's getting a bit more support now since the arrival of Drulak and Berger. Still, the German marking is very tight and very efficient too. Time now for Cadlets. Babel on for Berger. Now Horniak. The Germans for once having to backpedal here. Latau with Horniak. Kuka turning sharply. This is Berger. Well, it's pretty football from the Czechs, but it's getting them nowhere really. Now Kuntz looking to show his belligerence, his aggression against Supo Parek. Babel. Now Horniak. And the period of possession is broken up by the Germans. And then Böhler carelessly gave it away. Nedved. Here's Berger. Away from Saber. Babel. Here's Nedved. Again sniffing around the penalty box. It's taken a deflection away for the corner. If they could just get a goal back here, it would certainly give them a real lift now. Sukopanek has come up for the corner kick. Here's Müller. The curious clearance. Free kick for the foul by Babel. He felt he was being impeded by the persistence there of Drulak. 3 goals in the qualifiers, Drulak. And he's more or less a replacement up front for Skuravi, who isn't featuring at the moment because of injury mainly, but he's been out of favour as well. The enigmatic figure, Thomas Skuravi. There's the header, well saved too, as Horniak came in. Grubka was in the right place there. Horniak's header, well, it was a save he would expect to make. But that certainly will give revived hope to the Czech Republic. Struntz now for Germany. Elegantly through to Hessler, but offside. Maybe him, maybe Kuntz.
There's some excellent movement on this free kick. There's some good movement that leaves Horniak completely unmarked. Can't get quite enough on the ball. Comfortable save at the end, but some good movement and a good delivery.
Yes, defenders were dragged out of position, and Kuka in particular making his run. It opened up the way for Horniak. Off goes Kuka. Drulak through the centre. Berger. Now Nedved. There was Iltz there, recovering just in time.
There's no question that Berger's given Czechoslovakia a lift. He's shown a great sense of urgency in that position just behind the front players. Sort of thing that this man, I was saying this man, that Moller was doing in the first half, particularly for Germany.
Here's Struntz. Now Reuter. Wanting some movement now ahead of him. Wasn't really forthcoming, so Reuter has to go it alone.
I think Reuter there was suffering from just one solo striker playing for Germany. Early on, when he had 2 strikers to hit, he'd just roll the ball alongside, knowing full well there'd have been men coming out the middle for it.
Nebietz. Chris Hessler, who came sliding in, mistimed his tackle. Now, is that going to be yet another caution? Well, the 2 players are content they've sorted it out between them.
Oh, he's definitely booked him.
No, he's not taken the lenient view.
Be interesting to see if they can reproduce that similar sort of free kick to the last one.
Taken again then by Patrick Berger.
They tried the same one to get Horniak in round the back.
Muller. Ziege sprinting forward again. There's only Muller and Kurtz through the middle. Now support from Strutz. I'm sure if they need to, they can step up another gear, the Germans. Just easing their way through this match now. Thomas Hessler. Ziege has stayed forward, he's in the centre. It's Kunz now. Hessler again.
Yeah, that's the surprising thing to me. I mean, they're such good tournament players. They know full well they've got perhaps another 4 or 5 games to go over the next 2 or 3 weeks. They're not going to burst or kill themselves in this closing stages. That's why I'm surprised they get themselves booked unnecessary.
Kunz had wheeled away there. Away by Kadlec. There's only Drulek upfield for him. Ziege. A memorable goal from Ziege in the first half. So too was the one from Andy Muller. But so far the Germans haven't been able to press home their advantage in the second half. At least the Czech Republic have done their best to make a match of it. On by Sukuparek. It's an excellent pass to Kuka. He felt he was being held back then initially. Well, Bertie Vogts won't want his team to let one in now. Not with victory so close. He can do without an anxious last period, thank you. Berger with a corner kick. Horniak on the end of the cross. I think he was doing the pushing then. No, in fact, it's a corner kick. So once again, he's proved his worth there on the set piece. Kuka taking the corner, fisted out by Kupka. Kupka of Eintracht Frankfurt, who've been relegated. And he could well be moving on to Stuttgart for the next campaign. Not been tested all that often today, Kupka, but looks an accomplished goalkeeper. Nevets. Nedved. Cleverly away then from Strutz, but he was always working back at him. Now Muller. Helmer. Another surge upfield by him. Here's Muller. Might get through here. And it was the reflexes then of Peter Kober that came to the rescue. Very sharp.
That's brilliant goalkeeping. Right incisive break. There's Muller there, tries to just bend one around him, and he's out. Brave, fast, quick reaction. Excellent goalkeeping.
Well, he made sure there that Muller had so little to aim at. Corner kick then to Germany. Helmer and Ziege are both up. Shot fired through by Strutz, but nearer the corner flag than the goal. Well, sitting behind us, Ron, just a few rows back, the great Gunter Netzer. I just wonder if we're seeing shades of another fine side in the making. Well, let's just stay with this for a moment. That was the challenge there by Ziege, which I think Kuka was very unhappy about. But just a word on the strength of this German side. We've seen the great Gunter Netzer behind us. And a reminder of wonderful teams they've had in the past. How good could this team be, do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's... I think the tests have got to be stronger than this, certainly. They've looked very, very good in midfield. That's where I think the strength has been. And I would count Sammer as one of the midfield players. I know he plays as the libero, the sweeper.
Latal. Yes, he defends when he needs to defend. He attacks when he needs to attack.
I think Muller and Hessler have been excellent for them. Also, I mean, we talk about Sammer coming out from the back. every opportunity he gets, you know, Helmer breaks out as well. So, I mean, they've got a very good variation of people that are prepared to sprint forward and join in. We've got another substitution here.
Yes, Bierhoff has his chance to stake a claim now in the remaining minutes. Stefan Kuntz going off, so they're switching one striker for another. Kuntz has had his chance, Bobic earlier. Now Bierhoff is on, the man who's had such an excellent season with Udinese in Italy's Serie A. Breaks on here, Merler. Bierhoff has checked into the middle, Struntz as well. Now Stefan Reuter joining in. Hessler, whose effervescence has been such a key figure for the Germans today. That's Sammer intelligently through for Hessler, whose strength is not in the air. But again, he looks like being so influential for the Germans.
Yes, I wondered how he would shape in this year's tournament. I mean, he's been one of my favourites over the years, and looking at him, he looks up for it, he looks lively, he looks bright, and he looks as if he'll be very influential for Germany.
Kuka taking the kick very quickly. Here's Berger. On by Kuka. Drulak. Over-elaborating, though. Cadlet's having a sweep up at the back now. Under threat from Oliver Bierhoff. Of course, Ron, Klinsmann still to come back in.
Yeah, well, I mean, that is a major plus for them. I mean, you look at them today and you wonder whether the front players they've got would be quite sharp enough to trouble the best they're going to face in the tournament. But then you say, yeah, but with Klinsmann in, that does not add something to them.
Well, he can't wait for his chance. Leading goal scorer for the Germans in the qualifiers. Very, very impressive he was too. Just about the most feared striker in this competition.
You know, we're talking about who would partner him, whether it's any of, whether it be Koons or whether it be Bobic. You just wonder whether they might decide to play him up on his own and say to Hessler and Muller, you get on with supporting him and we'll put an extra midfield player in.
Well, their movement, their mobility has been outstanding today. And they've been too strongly for the Czech Republic, despite their improved showing in the second half.
They've disappointed me, by the way. Czechs have disappointed me. I actually thought they would make more of a fist of it. They've showed a bit from time to time, which a team with their pedigree is going to show.
Here's Drulak.
But that's the sort of situation. They've lost too many big situations. They've lost too many, if you like, challenges. When it's got a little bit hot for them, they've sort of stepped out of it a bit.
Well, I was certainly disappointed when I saw their lineup, their starting lineup, to leave out Drulak, to leave out Berger. To me, showed too much caution.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure if they, mind you say if they'd been playing one of the easier teams in the group, there isn't an easy team in this group.
No. That's handled there. So the Czech Republic have a free kick here later on. So still time for a scare or two for the Germans before the points are safely secured. Could be Berger from here. Here's this lethal left foot, Patrick Berger. David Ellery still wanting that wall further back. Kupke anxious on his goal line. Here's Berger. It's taken a little nick too. And away for the corner. Well, they know all about him back in Germany, the Borussia Dortmund player. Kuka with a corner kick. Here's Kadlec. No question of caution now from the Czechs. Kuka going all the way. He got two splendid goals and their recent win in the friendly over Switzerland. Two long-range strikes. And the Germans have conceded another free kick. Stefan Reuter, the culprit this time. Around 3 minutes remaining. Berger is there with Sukaparek and Kadlec. And here is Kadlec. The wall stood firm. Honiak. Now Hessler is in here. Had Bierhoff away to his left. Muller. Now Struntz to Reuter. The Germans at Old Trafford cheering their every move now. I think they feel the game is won. Dieter Eils. Muller down for Saber. Muller again. Hessler. The Germans still supporting each other so eagerly. Playing very much as a unit today. And the signs may well be ominous for teams they'll be meeting later in the competition. Certainly in this group, the Italians and the Russians, who realise the size of the task facing them now. Here's Kuka. Eils back defending, and he made contact with the ball. Certainly that was David Ellery's view. I think I'd go along with that. Kuka presumably wouldn't. Sammer is the furthest forward then for the Germans. We've made the point before, he's so much more than just a defender. And I think he could be one of the crucial players in this Euro 96.
Well, he follows in the great line of German sweepers, doesn't he? Starting probably with the likes of Beckenbauer and Stielicke and people like that have been excellent midfield players and have gone and played in the last position.
He'd certainly be in that class, wouldn't he?
No, he wouldn't be in that class yet, but he's capable of being in it. I mean, you're talking about all-time players, Beckenbauer and Stielicke.
Helmer just making his way forward. Hessler with the free kick. Merla's in there too, and Bierhoff, who was pretty useful in the air, as he showed in the Italian league. Bierhoff, the forgotten exile they call him, after his departure from Germany to make a name for himself in Italy. Nedved. They've kept their shape at the back then, the Germans. Here's Bierhoff. I don't think he's got genuine pace, Bierhoff, but he's certainly resourceful up front, and his goals record has been good.
Yeah, I think the majority of... He's scored a lot of penalties, hasn't he, this year in Italy, but a lot of the goals he gets are sort of short-range goals from inside the 6-yard box, from, if you like, from corners, and where it's been built up, where the play's got heavy pressure on it. I don't think he's a great counter-attacker.
Nedved is the man in trouble here. So what about the Czechs then, Ron? Do you see any future for them now in this tournament?
I think they've made it very hard for themselves. It wouldn't have surprised me before the match to see some sort of a surprise here, you know, that they may have come and at least maybe got a draw out the game, because they did at least do excellent qualifying. But for me, they haven't had any fire in the belly. They've been a nice side without really, you know, they don't look as if they could get angry enough. Whereas the Germans have been great technically, or excellent technically, but they've also had that desire, that will to winning, if you like.
Sammer. Options ahead of him. One of them was Burla. And Hessler joining in here. Great bit of skill then by Hessler. He kept it in play too. Side netting. It's so much to admire that from Thomas Hessler. I mean, it's teamwork, Ron, but they've got great individuals too.
Oh, but they all fit in well in the team pattern. And as you say, I mean, he has done well to keep that in. He's been a little bit selfish at the death, right? But he's entitled to be.
It goes Struts. Now Heltler. Again, David Ellery anxious to keep the game moving, keeping a watchful eye on a little situation that was brewing there.
I tell you, a big thing they've got in the favour as well. We've talked about Sammer and we've talked about Moller, talked about Hessler, and then Klinsmann to come. One good thing, they're all top-class players, but they've all got great energy. They're going to be, at the end of the fortnight, they're still going to be very, very strong and fit, those particular players. And that's going to be important.
Boniak. Now Kadlec. He's created one or two openings in the Czech Republic, but not too many really to trouble the Germans unduly. And they're going to be under some pressure now themselves, maybe, from Thomas Hessler. Kadlec forcing him wide. Here's Sammer. Just asking a bit too much, though, of Thomas Hessler. Czechs a bit untidy, but they've got away with it. Kuka. Drulak. Generally, the German defenders have had the measure of Drulak and Kuka and Berger. Even though they lost Jürgen Kohler through injury early on in the first half.
Do you know what? I was just watching Babel then. I think Babel's actually played better than Kohler was in the early part of the game. He had one or two moments of uncertainty, Kohler did, which is surprising for a player that's of his ilk. But Babel has hardly put a foot wrong since he's come in.
Just a question mark maybe about the pace of Jürgen Kohler these days.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering about. Early on, Kuka got past him once or twice, then he rolled him in the box early on.
But he's a real roll your sleeves up merchant, isn't he, Jürgen Kohler? And I'm sure they'll want to bring him back. That's the most expensive defender in the world, of course, Kohler, when he moved to Italy to Juventus. Sukuparek. This is Nemets. Now Drulak. Sukuparek with a shot, but it's a take one. And Cook enjoyed his little moment of glory then, making an easy save, rather more than routine. Well, the German fans, understandably in good voice now. They're anticipating a very fruitful tournament for their team. Certainly plenty for the Italians and the Russians to worry about with their forthcoming matches against Bertie Vogt's team. For the Czechs, it's going to be a long, hard struggle now, merely to survive into the next phase. Babel, away to Hessler. They've got a very convincing look about them, the German team. Here's Ziege. We've got that all-important breakthrough goal. Still Ziege. Now Hessler. Bierhoff making a run in the centre. It's opened up some room here for Struts. Didn't quite get hold of it.
That would have been a great finale.
Well, the much-fancied German side are off to a winning start. Favourites in the eyes of many observers. They've opened with a comprehensive win here against the Czech Republic to underline the strength of their challenge. Ziege with the first goal, Möller the second. And is this an omen, I wonder, too? The last time a German side won their opening fixture in the European finals was against the old Czech side back in 1980. And of course, Germany, West Germany as they were then, went on to win the tournament. The favourites are out of the blocks. Their Euro 96 challenge underway, up and running. Winners at Old Trafford by 2-0.